Hey you guys, welcome to my next pick a card reading. Today we are going to be focusing on career and money, which I think seems super appropriate given the North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn, plus the eclipses we just went through. So I hope you find some insight in here today. I personally wanted to extend a huge set of gratitude for all of you, my subscribers. Today I went to the mailbox and I picked up this YouTube plaque for passing 100,000 subscribers, which I'm so excited. I've been waiting for it to come in the mail. Super excited and super, super grateful. Thank you again, and hope you enjoy the reading. Hey you guys, okay, let's go ahead and get started. So what you do in a pick a card reading is just pick a pile, whichever pile is naturally calling to you. If you have a specific question, you are more than welcome to ask. If not, you're more than welcome to keep it open. It's really however is best suited for you. So what we have here, pile 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is Fluorite, Calcite, Black Obsidian, and Smoky Quartz. So go ahead, take a moment, pause the video if you need to, and allow yourself to feel drawn. Ask your question, and let's go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Okay, for those of you who have picked pile number 1 with the fluorite crystal, here we are. Let's go ahead and get started with the cards. So first and foremost, I want to let you know that all these tarot decks are mentioned in the description box down below in the order that they appear. So in case you're interested, they will be listed there for you. So we begin with the Chariot, we have the Page of Swords, and then we have the Emperor. So you get 2 major arcana, which is pretty great. Let me put these over here. So the Chariot, in terms of your career, means potentially upward mobility in terms of a promotion or in terms of getting a raise. There also may be a feeling of getting called to something, right? Being called to do something that might be different than what you're currently doing. The Page of Swords is an energy of curiosity. I feel a lot of Gemini energy that comes from a Page of Swords, which is all about keeping your options open. It's very mutable, right? Very flexible, and it's full of curiosity. So if those of you who are feeling stagnant or you're feeling like it is time to make a change, now would be a great time to start examining your options. For those of you who are wanting to quit a 9-to-5 and move forward in your own business or your endeavor, now might not necessarily be the time to pull the trigger, but it's absolutely a good time to start doing the research. Researching the market, what are the competitors doing, how are your finances doing, how can you maneuver this, what needs to be done, what steps need to be taken, and all of those things. There's an aspect of intellect that comes to with the Page of Swords as well, which tells me that your mind might be going really, really crazy. So don't allow your mind to overthrow the Chariot or the Emperor energy, because these are much, much stronger, but sometimes the mind just kind of takes over. So the Chariot really speaks to the heart space. It speaks to that feeling of destiny and that feeling of aligning with that which you are meant to do. I also don't see a huge regard for money, actually. While the Emperor and the Chariot card can both indicate increases or stepping into a role of leadership or working your way up the corporate chain or whatever it is you're doing, yes, they absolutely can indicate that. But if that's in fact what's happening in your life, you're not climbing up the corporate ladder for the sake of money, right? You're not taking on those big clients for the sake of money. That's just kind of an added bonus. If you find yourself in a position where you are only doing something for the money, chances are the Chariot energy is going to take over and be like, you know what? You're not going to be happy doing this. Right? This is about your divinity. This is about what you're here on earth to do. The Emperor is about the leadership aspect and the courage also to actually step into that role, to actually step into it, to step up for the job, and to have the courage to do what it takes to actually get you to where you want to be. There's a lot of power with the Emperor. Okay, now some of you are dealing with a boss as well. I can't kind of leave that out. There may be something or someone in the workplace that is pushing really hard okay? If you're dealing with someone who's pushing really hard and it's not your speed, that's why the Page of Swords energy is coming out. This may be the person who's offering you a promotion, or this may be the person that's forcing you into that mind state of like, I gotta get out, I gotta get out. So this person, whether it's an aspect of you stepping into your true power, or it's someone else sort of using their power on you, either way, it's forcing you to get you to where you need to be. So if you're feeling restless, if you're feeling like changes are inevitable, you're right, changes are inevitable. So it's time to step up to the plate and have the guts and the faith to know that when you take that leap, that the divine and the higher self is going to start grabbing that wheel, okay? So from the Wildwood Tarot, we have the 10 of Arrows, which is a card of instruction. And we have the Blasted Oak, which is similar to the Tower card, okay, in the normal tarot. So let's start with the Tower card, because when we get the Tower with the Emperor, with the Chariot, it's an indication to me that, like I just said, change is inevitable. It is an inevitability, and it might be somewhat unpredictable as well. Some of you feeling so anxious and so nervous to make that change that one day you may wake up, get fed up with someone at work and be like, you know what, I quit, I'm done. Now, while I'm telling you, you know, don't pull the trigger, some of you may feel compelled. It's almost as though you can't help it. You have to make that change. If you can help it and hold off that energy of really wanting to do something, tap into the Page of Swords, like I said, do all the research. The 10 of Arrows, card of instruction, kind of like the aspect of seeking guidance and mentorship. Now I'm actually looking here and I'm like, the Emperor could also be an emperor, could also be a mentor as well. They even kind of look the same, old men with beards and old white hair. So there may be an older masculine influence in your sphere that you can look to. It doesn't have to be a man, but someone who is more masculine in energy, who is ready to give you advice, and I highly suggest you take it. Okay, I think they have good advice for you. I think it has benefit, and I think it's a good place for you to really be. You never know what's going to happen. For some of you, there could be reorganization, restructuring going on in your company. There could be some movement, just changing you from one department to the other. There could be potentially for some of you getting fired. The Blasted Oak or the Tower, it's like a lightning strike, right? You never know when, you never know how, and you never know the reason for it until later on. There's always good things that come from it, okay? So don't stress, it's not a big deal. There's huge opportunity, which the Page of Swords is the energy for you to really take that in stride, okay? Now, from the Crown Chakra with the card of Temptation. Interesting. So the Crown Chakra with the Chariot makes a lot of sense. This is from the Psychic Tarot deck too. This is about the divinity aspect, following the higher knowing. I suspect that the reason that the Blasted Tower occurs is because your heart and your soul have been speaking to you for a very long time, and you haven't made any changes yet, or you haven't even taken steps to make the changes yet. So this is kind of the world pushing you in the right direction. You have a knowing. You have a knowing of which way to go, and this person is going to help you point that arrow in the proper direction. Okay, it's really, really important that you trust, or that you have someone that you really trust. And that if you speak to them, to take their advice, because they are showing you through proper guidance what you need to know. For some of you, this could apply to your guides, your spirit guides as well. Some of you have deep-rooted relationship with your spirit guides, so please, please, please connect with them. The quality of temptation is coming out, and when I see temptation, I see the temptation to stay comfortable. Okay, I do. I see the temptation to stay comfortable, especially financially. Some of you are going to need to make financial changes according to whatever this tower brings about or this blasted oak brings about. You're going to need to shift your internal dialogue to change your biology so that your body starts behaving in a different kind of way. Meaning if you are used to, let's keep the example really simple, if you're used to waking up and going to Starbucks every morning, but now you've kind of had to kind of scale back on your finances, well, you're not going to be able to continue to do that. So don't do that, right? You can't afford $5 per day on coffee or something, right? So don't do that. And the temptation to do it because it's become so habitual is going to be really, really strong. The thing I love about the Page of Swords is how fresh it is. It's about triggering new neurons in your brain to establishing new behavioral patterns, new mental patterns, and especially and most importantly, more new emotional patterns. Okay, so it's everything new with the Page of Swords. So it's almost as though you're stepping into a new skin, but the temptation to stay comfortable will be very, very strong. So please take that in stride, be honest with yourself, and don't be hard on yourself. There's no need to exert shame or feelings of guilt. That's like totally unnecessary, but just acknowledge where you are feeling tempted to stay comfortable and take mental efforts to make the proper changes, okay? Because the Chariot, like I know that you know what needs to happen, okay? All right. The Moonology deck, the answers you need are coming. Full moon in Gemini. So what did I even say with the Page of Swords? I said it's a very Gemini energy. And I don't care if you're a Capricorn or your moon is in Scorpio or whatever. I don't care what your astrology is. We all have the ability to take on the energy of any of the archetypes because it does have a placement somewhere in our chart. Like I don't really have any placements other than Chiron in Gemini and it's in my 9th house, but it's still a part of who I am. So when it comes to the answers you need are coming, I have a feeling that the reason the temptation is so strong is simply because the Tower was so scary, or it has the potential to be really scary, and you don't know what your next step is. That's why the role of someone, a father, a colleague, a spiritual mentor, like I said, your guides, someone who has a quality of authority over you is going to help you and may be the provider of the answers that you need. So keep your eyes and ears sharp. Keep your senses peeled for new information. There's going to be a grasping of trying to connect all of these dots, but right now, as fresh as it is with the Tower energy, it might just be a little too premature for you to see the whole big picture. So there's no need to stress yourself out in trying to find it. It's going to come for you, all right? Now, this is from my Untethered Soul deck, and it's a quote from the book. So it says, "The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation." The blasted oak. To grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace the change at all times. See, this is the struggle to remain the same. Sometimes my intuition is so on point, I scare myself. Like, I didn't even look at these cards before I pulled them. So the struggle to remain the same, you have to give up. Right? Allow change to happen. Allow your behavior to change. If you wake up and you find yourself feeling a familiar emotion or finding yourself running down a familiar thought pattern that hasn't been productive for a really long time, you have to give it up. It is not productive. It is not beneficial. And it is keeping you stagnant. The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. See, the Tower usually happens when we have remained stagnant for so long that the universe, it simply cannot sustain. It needs forward motion. It needs growth. So it's forcing growth somehow. So this is very exciting, but for some of you, it might feel very scary. Oh my gosh, the last card we get is the card of attachment. Wow. Okay. Yes, attachment, for sure. And even the Emperor can be really stubborn too. It is a very stubborn energy. It is a number 4, right? It's rooted in its, what's the word? In its foundation, has roots, it's all established. So the attachment to what is known and the attachment to that which is familiar is very strong. So when it comes to your career, you may have struggled with pushing yourself further or putting yourself in a space by proving how valuable you are. Some of you have had struggles articulating yourself or standing up to someone, or there may have been issues with being a people pleaser. There may have been issues with even greed as well, being so incredibly money and materialistically driven. Now, money is good. It's the means through which we survive, connected to our root chakra. So it is very, very important. But when we find ourselves doing things solely for the money, that is when unfulfillment and dissatisfaction just get real snuggly all up in our hearts, right? And it's probably not the best place for us to be. So pay attention to where you're tempted to stay. Pay attention to the things that you are attached to. Allow the tower to happen and have faith that the answers are coming. Okay? All right. Good luck, you guys. Thank you so much. Take care. Okay, pile number 2, welcome. Let's go ahead and get started. And I wanted to let you guys know that the names of all the cards are listed in order of appearance in the description down below. So, yeah, there you go. All right, let's go ahead and start with the Strength card, the Magician card, and the Sun card. Holy cow. 3 major arcana, 3 amazingly good major arcana. Okay, so let's start with Strength, which is all about inner power, connected with the solar plexus, the 3rd chakra. There's a quality of absolute faith and perseverance. Now, the only problem with Strength that I can see is that maybe life has you in a position where you actually need to be strong. And that can be, a little bit hard sometimes, but it is what it is, But the fact is that you have strength. You have the ability to manifest with the Magician any kind of changes that you wish for yourself. Some of you may be taking really big risks or really big leaps of faith, and I'm here to tell you with the Sun card, it is going to work out great. Now, sometimes when I say that, I have to make sure that I say, whatever it is you're trying to do, it's not to say that immediately it's going to work out. There will be ups and downs along the way. For sure, okay? There will absolutely be ups and downs along the way. So have faith in the downs, because the downs are what perpetuate the growth. And the Sun is the ultimate outcome. So while what you're focused on in the short term is kind of found here with Strength and the Magician, the Sun is the long game. This is where it's all headed. So there's a lot of reason for you to trust and have faith that even though these may be stepping stones, those stepping stones are leading you to an extraordinarily abundant pasture. All right? So there's reason to be excited. I think many of you are focusing on what you want. You're focusing on what you want in your career, what you want to contribute into the world. And I think within your own jobs, however, wherever you're at financially, there is a part of you that's like, I demand more of myself. I demand more of myself. I demand more of my life, and I'm here to grab it. So there's ambition here with the Magician. This is a highly masculine energy, but it's coupled with the patience and perseverance of the Lion, because we know that the Lion sits and waits in the grass until the prey gets close enough, right? So I think there's an aspect of both crouching in the grass and being ready, and having this kind of inner sense of knowing of when to pounce. You may be deep in manifestation mode right now, which is great, right? Using the full moon in Aquarius coming up here, and I know this is kind of a timeless reading. Okay, I know this is a timeless reading, so it doesn't matter when you watch this reading, but it's right now August 10th, so tomorrow is the full moon in Aquarius. I think it's tomorrow. So you may be using the power of that energy. You may be using the power of just timing, right? The power of good timing in your life. And saying, you know what, universe, I'm ready. I'm totally ready. I'm ready for more money. I'm ready for growth. I'm ready for prominence. I'm ready, some of you maybe even ready for the next chapter, you know? And I'm ready to take myself there. And I feel a highly prepared energy. So now here you are, you're prepared and you're asking for it. So you have to be prepared because you're going to get it in some way, shape, or form. Might not be exactly the way you think or the way you picture, but you're definitely going to get it. Okay? So Two of Arrows, it's like Two of Swords. And the Wanderer, which is like the Fool in the Wildwood Tarot. So, this says injustice. Okay, now I'm reading this intuitively here with the energy. We have the feather here and we have the gold here. The feather very connected with like the feather of Ma'at with the Egyptian mythology, right? When you die, your heart gets placed on the scale against the feather of Ma'at, and if your heart is lighter than the feather, then you get to proceed. If it's not lighter than the feather, then you reincarnate and you get to do it all over again. So there may have been something that happened that has pushed you into this very intense magician energy, right? Like I like the fire coming off of the hand here because it's like, I need to create. I need to create, I need to push, I need to make money, I need to move forward in my career because where I am, it's not where I know I could be, and I'm not using the maximum of my talents here. Okay, so something has pushed you there. Some of you, maybe there was something that happened and left you feeling really unsettled. Some of you may have lost a lot of money, and you may have come into this feeling of determination of like, I am never going to let that happen again, ever, ever, ever. Some of you may have been fired and you're like, I'm never going to let that happen ever, ever again. Some of you may be feeling like there was some kind of a betrayal and now you're left to pick sides. But you know what I see? I see you picking yourself. And I see you finding freedom and liberation. I love how the Fool energy is coming out with the Sun energy or the Wanderer here. And you're opening yourself up to many, many, many new experiences by this manifestation energy that you have going on right now. Okay, so it's really important that you know that you may be wishing for, or I'm going to say wish, but you know, you may be manifesting, you know, a certain amount of income. But in order to get you there, the universe is going to have a lot of surprises for you along the way, and it's going to be really beautiful. And there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about it. But please don't think that what you're expecting is what it's going to be. Okay, because it's not. You're in for some amazing surprises. So sit back and allow yourself to feel in awe. Okay? Now, I have to kind of fall back on my traditional view of the Two of Swords, where I often see it's often, you know, being placed with some kind of a crossroads, which is why I'm saying some of you might need to be taking some risks. This is a very risky energy to embark upon a new journey, absolutely. And some of you may be sort of tossed between allegiance to one person versus another person, or allegiance towards one company against yourself, you know. So there may be a feeling of, what do I feel like I'm obligated to do or what I'm supposed to do versus what do I really want to do. But what you're wanting to do is sort of taking precedence over what you feel obliged to do. So if you choose your desire, because your desire is something that is purposeful, you know, we don't just simply desire things, which is why we all desire different things. So you don't just desire something for the sake of the desire, right? It's meant to guide you in a specific direction, as long as it's not run like a desire of the ego. You see what I mean? So Some of you may be taking a big risk and reducing your income for the sake of something much better, right? Maybe more free time or something. Some of you may be, like I said, being more vocal and being more quick to speak up in meetings and things to show like, hey, I'm valuable, I'm worth something, I'm important in this company, like please pay attention to me, like I want this promotion and I'm definitely going to make sure you know, right? So this is the story of you choosing yourself. Oh, and then the next card we get is choose wisely and the firm foundation. So yeah, choose wisely. Choose yourself. That's the wise choice, okay? You are standing on a firm foundation, as we see with the Sun card. You might not be able to see the sun right now, okay? I'm not saying all of you are destitute or whatever, but you might not really see the illuminated path at this time, but rest assured that everything that is within you, the passion, the drive, and especially the desire, I think the desire is actually your best friend right now, which is weird because I don't normally say that, but I do. I think your desire is your absolute best friend. Pay attention to that. Right? Because that seems to be your foundational quality and the motivation as to why you want to do something. Pay attention to the why, right? We all know that, right? You have to know why you do something in order for it to be meaningful and purposeful. If you're just doing it just to do something, then, that's probably an ego thing. But if you know exactly why, it's help my family, it's for my free time, it's for the sex, my sanity, right? My stress level, whatever it is. I know I want this, and that's all you need to know. Okay? Now, the Moonology card is the North Node. Step out of your comfort zone. That seems to be a story for the last pile 1, and now pile 2. Getting uncomfortable. Allowing yourself to transition from the South Node into the North Node. Now the North Node is like our destiny point, right? It's our point of where we're headed in this life and what's an inevitability. The North Node is our North Star. It's like our guiding light. Step out of your comfort zone with the power of the Magician. It's going to be okay. The Sun. Now, with this untethered soul, we have a quote from the book here. So let me go ahead and read this for you. What if consciousness were to remove its focus from your personal set of thoughts, your personal set of emotions, your limited sensory input? Would you become untethered from the bonds of the personal self and be set free to explore beyond? I love the fact that there is the word explore and we have the wanderer coming out here. Would you become untethered from the bonds of the personal self and be set free to explore beyond? Of course, we know the answer is yes, right? Of course. We know that if you were to remove yourself from the ego, which is kind of what has tethered us here to this world, to this life, to this planet, this third dimension, if we are to untether ourselves from these things, would we become untethered from those things? And when you become completely untethered, when you become fearless, you then become unstoppable. That's what this really is. This is a story of someone becoming unstoppable. And I just have to pull the last card because I just glanced at it. So here we go. A woman holding a heart. Deep feminine energy, which is creative, generative, fluid, curved. Okay? A woman holding a heart, and it is passionful. Okay? Full of passion. And I love the butterfly on her third eye chakra there, kind of like sitting between her third eye and her crown chakras. indicating a symbol of transformation and change, and also higher knowledge and higher learning, and probably a transformation in how you connect with your higher knowledge and your higher knowing. See, I think this is a story of someone who recognizes that what you do for work, what you do for money means nothing. And that money will chase those that chase their destiny. Okay, when you step out of your comfort zone, when you take a risk. I think this magician, like I said, is very risky. This is a story of someone who knows how much the universe loves courage. You are going to be courageous. You are. Your heart is guiding here. It's loud. I think it's very loud. Those that allow themselves to remain tethered it's a very clear separation of what's happening with people, right? And you seem to be finding the freedom that you truly seek. But you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Okay? All right, pile number 2. That's it for you guys. Thank you so much. Good luck. Okay, pile number 3, let's go ahead and get started. Wanted to let you guys know that all the cards in order of appearance are listed in the description box down below, so you know which decks I'm using, okay? All right, so the Black Obsidian. Let's see what we've got for your first set of tarot cards. We have the High Priestess, the 5 of Coins, and the King of Wands. So the High Priestess... For some reason, I feel like people are being real guided with their intuition and their subconscious right now. Like actually all 3 piles that I've done so far, it's very deep. Like there's this inner calling that's happening with everybody. Especially you guys though, right? The color black with the blackness of the High Priestess card, it makes perfect sense. There's something coming up from your darkness or your dark self, surfacing from your subconscious into your conscious realm. Now the 5 of Coins can be a tough energy, right? It can feel like we have been rejected or we are not worthy of something, specifically money, and we are doing a career and money reading. So specifically in the realm of finances, you may be feeling a bit depleted. Maybe you've recently incurred some kind of an expense. Maybe you've recently taken a hit or been, laid off or something like that, and you may be feeling dissatisfied with this particular area of your life. Now, finances are really, really important for our energy system, right? Because they're so intrinsically connected with our root chakra, which is all about survival. And in this world, money is how we survive. So money is important. Getting ourselves to a place of stability is very important. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just feeling abundant with what we have. And usually when I see a 5 of Coins, it is a message for me as a reader to implore you, right? To impress upon you how important it is to express gratitude. Okay, gratitude being one of the highest frequencies available to us as human beings is the way for us to pave the way for a new kind of future. All right, now you may be reverting back into some somewhat destructive subconscious patterning, which is really critical for you to recognize. Feeling any sense of lack, any sense of scarcity, feeling any sense of like being gypped by the universe, like you got screwed over or there was something, that someone did that kind of put us in this position. This is an opportunity for you to accept full responsibility and hold yourself accountable to how you perceive your current position in life. Now, the King of Wands, I always say, is like my Steve Jobs of the tarot, right? He's super innovative, really aggressive in terms of going after his dreams and living in pleasure and just overall enjoying life. So to get from here to here can feel like quite a jump, but really all it is a change of mindset. Really all it is an opportunity for you to say, you know what? I'm going to change the way I think about this, and I'm going to start to see this 5 of Coins situation as being the best thing that ever happened to me, right? I have this little book called The Zen and the Art of Happiness, a very famous book, and it was an okay book. I don't necessarily recommend you run out and go grab it, but I think for me the main takeaway in that book was, if you can think of everything in your life, good or bad, as being the best thing that ever happened to you, then it will be the best thing that ever happened to you. And then nothing can ever bring you down. Nothing can ever make you feel subpar or inferior or unworthy, because that line of thinking is not possible if you are viewing something as being the best thing ever. Okay, so while there may be some darkness coming up, which is a beautiful thing, we need to embrace our shadow. It's super, super important to give ourselves, the big hug, say like, it's really going to be okay. We're gonna take this in stride, and we're gonna make something of this, right? We tap into our creative energy, we tap into our heart space and our spirit space, and we allow that to be our guiding force. Now, I suspect that whatever happened recently had to surface at this time because it was time for it to get cleared away, for all karma to be erased, and for you to become more free. Okay? Okay, let's go ahead and pull a couple more. The pole star, or the star in the regular tarot, and the 8 of Arrows, which is a sign of struggle. Now, I don't necessarily think that you guys are walking into a period of struggle, so don't freak out. What I think is happening is you are having a substantial internal challenge, and you are seeing the effects of that internal challenge in the material world, right? Because our internal state so often reflects our external state. But here we have the star, here we have the high priestess, which are very nighttime energies, very dark. I love that it's actually connected with the black obsidian, because it's so like nighttime, winter time, feeling like you have to go into the depths of the underworld in order to see and appreciate the light, But this is an internal battle only. I don't necessarily suspect that your finances are that bad. I don't suspect your work situation is that bad. Now, if you hate what you do, that is the internal struggle, which is making your workplace terrible. And the King of Wands is coming out because for whatever reason, you may be lacking courage. King of Wands is highly courageous, and his connection with the Leo energy, all right, it's important for us to talk about that archetype that's coming out. The Leo energy, right now we're currently in Leo season, although this reading is timeless and it's not confined to one particular season. But the Leo energy, the royalty, the majesty, right? Like when a king wakes up in the morning and wants to raise taxes, he just says, I want to raise taxes today, and that's what the king wants, and that's kind of what it is, and that's just how it goes. And so I feel like there's a necessity for you to tap into what your heart really wants and to just own it and to just make the changes necessary, no questions asked, with no fear. There might be something that you're afraid of. You might be afraid of being laid off or getting fired. You might be afraid of taking a risk and starting that business. You may be afraid you're not going to be able to make the payments for the bills next month. Whatever fear you have, if you own a huge company, there could be some kind of merger happening that you're like, I'm really not sure if this is going to be the thing for me, right? I don't care whatever scale it is, large or small, the battle is internal. It's your mind against your mind. And the duality can get really, really, really tough. But the the pole star is our guiding light. Very similar to, I think it was the third pile that had the North Star or the North Node. There is direction in front of you, but you have to open your eyes to see it, or rather not your eyes, but maybe your third eye, right? You have to open your third eye, your mind's eye, and also your heart in order to see it. You have to admit what you want. You have to admit that the changes, that you have to make changes maybe. Maybe some of you have been constantly feeling beaten down, constantly feeling like everyone else, they seem to work and they just seem to make money and they just kind of is just so easy for them. But why is it so hard for me? Why am I so like stuck? Let's go ahead and move on to the next set of cards, because I saw this one. I was like, okay, well, let's move on, because this one was the Rest and Rejuvenate card. And I also like the aspect of, I'm going to throw in the word regenerate as well. So rest, rejuvenate, and regenerate. And I think the High Priestess space is really, really, really important for you. Allowing the shadow work to be done, giving that little boy or that little girl inside of you that's having a hard time just a big hug and saying it's going to be okay. Take a break from trying, okay? Because when you have conflict and defeat coming through, when you have, I'm wondering if some of you have been struggling in some area of your life, like a romantic relationship, and your money situation is strained, and you haven't quite made the connection that those two things are inextricably linked, that they are so connected. Or maybe you have a very sick parent at home that you're caring for, and again, your money situation is in struggle right now, because again, they're inextricably linked. Your emotional state and your financial state and your progress in your career and your courage in your career are taking a hit right now, right? Conflict and defeat. There may be people at work that you really don't like. There may be some nasty boss that you have, or some really nasty coworkers. It might be time for you to get to a place where the morale of the company is much better, because you want to change, okay? You have to really analyze. That's why the High Priestess came out number one, very first card. You have to analyze where this is really coming from. What is the emotional and mental process that is happening that might be causing strain or feelings of dissatisfaction at the least, okay? If there is in fact external circumstances, like your job is restructuring, or and had to get rid of a bunch of people or something, it's important for you not to take it personally. It's not you, right? It's really not you. Heal, right? Oh, time for healing, balsamic moon. It's a time for you to rest and to allow, I feel like this is a light bulb here, this star card, to allow the light bulb to turn on, or to allow yourself to come into a place of clearing. You may still feel like you're very suffocated and, almost claustrophobic in the forest here. And yet you have to continue walking forward in order to find this clearing, so that you can then see the guiding star. I feel like the walking itself, as I said that analogy, even though you may feel like the forest is very overbearing, or you may feel very defeated, it is the walking forward, right? That is the healing process. I feel like if you were to stop trying, stop trying to be seen, trying to be noticed, trying to be out there, trying to be this, trying to be that, and just allow things to simply just be, the universe absolutely will take care of you. The star is a promise of that. Star is a promise of the divinity. And it's important for you to have faith in the divinity. Okay? Wow, okay. So this is from my Untethered Soul deck. Energy doesn't get old. It doesn't get tired, and it doesn't need food. What it needs is openness and receptivity. Okay, so this has probably been an energy that you've been fighting and dealing with for a really long time. Those of you who have struggled to make progress in the financial realm, you need to reset almost entirely. You need to allow your psychology and this structure that you have placed around yourself to just completely dissolve, right? You need to let the forest completely dissolve as you enter into a clearing. Exactly. Openness as a clearing and being receptive. You need to listen. You need to hear what the universe is trying to say, because I suspect, okay, that your heart has been saying something for a very long time, and yet you have been pushing yourself in a box for a really long time. Like, it has to be this way. I have to work for this person. I have to have this kind of job. I have to have this kind of income. I have to have this. I have to have that. And you have limited yourself to an extreme degree. So finance and opportunity is blocked. It can't make its way in. The energy is so clogged. First and foremost, you probably need to bless or send a blessing to your root, sacral, and solar plexus chakras. Send a blessing. Open them up. Okay? This is not about your heart. This is not about your third eye or anything like that. This is about your bottom, base, rooted, what connects you with the earth. Sometimes we get so into our spirituality and so into our emotions that we forget that we are here on earth. We are connected to the planet. We are connected to the air. We are connected to the water on this planet as well, right? And the money and the material world is just as connected to the earth. So as much as we like to say, oh, don't be materialistic, don't be like this, don't be like that, well, I wonder if maybe you've gone a little too far into the realm of something else, and now you're needing to get grounded. And the reason for the feeling of defeat, the reason for conflict, the reason for the struggle is because you're trying to exist in a very third-dimensional world in a highly non-third dimensional way. And there's a disconnect. You have to have balance, right? This is the Taoist principles. You have to have balance. Indecision. Some of you may be really struggling between making decisions based on your heart versus making decisions based on what makes sense for you. But look, what makes sense for you has put you in the current position. Now it's time to follow your heart. As big of a risk as it is, it will find a way. That's what happens. That's how the universe works. The universe looks out for us. So there really is no indecision. There really is no indecisiveness, because your heart knows exactly, it's perfectly aligned with truth already. But you have to listen to it. You're perfectly aligned. The star absolutely is sitting right there in the sky, but you're trapped in the forest. You're trapped. You have to find a place where you can see the sky. You have to get to a place of calm and peace, mentally and emotionally, so that money has space to come in, so that promotions have space to come in. Rest, relax, let yourself free from what you think it should be. Okay, some of you may be going through some kind of existential thing, and that's okay. That's beautiful. Allow it to happen and allow the healing to happen, because as you start to heal and as that poison starts to kind of, dissipate from your body, money's going to start to come in. And then it's going to be a little bit more, and it's going to be a little bit more. This is a card of optimism. This is a card of healing. This is absolutely a card of joy and prosperity. So there's no need to be afraid in any way, shape, or form. Some of you may have really negative psychology from childhood about money too that might be surfacing at this time. So you may be battling between selfishness and selflessness and trying to find that equal balance, because maybe you have been selfless for so long, and the struggle to get to selfish, but like a good kind of selfish, right? The good kind that we need to take care of ourselves kind of way, might be hard for you to find, but it's in there, right? King of Wands, it's definitely in there. Good luck, you guys. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much for everything. See you soon. Hello, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. So just so you know, the name of the cards are going to be listed in the description box in order of appearance, so you know what decks I'm using, okay? So for those of you that picked the crystal quartz, let's go ahead and get started, okay? So we have the Empress card, the Temperance card, and the Ace of Cups. Beautiful. Wow, okay, so look, the Empress energy is really wonderful. She is abundant, she is creative, she is highly intuitive, she is extraordinarily valuable, especially in a company or a corporation or a business, especially if you're a business owner. She's usually the top of the top. Like, she knows what she's got going on, she knows what her talents are, and she knows how to put them to good use. Clients are rarely disappointed, customers rarely disappointed, co-workers, bosses rarely disappointed in an Empress energy. She's generative, right? She knows how to bring life into things, especially in the realm of money. She's connected with the symbol of Venus, okay, or the archetype of Venus, and that's money, right? Venus is money. Also beauty and aesthetic and values and a lot of things. So she's very well-rounded. And I have a feeling that there's something, I don't know, Temperance, I like the Temperance card, but in this particular deck, when I read this deck intuitively, it does kind of have a dark aura around it. Not bad, it's just, you know, a little bit more ominous, meaning that maybe there's something, a situation or an emotional thing going on in your life that needs to be transmuted, right, from one cup to the other in order for you to find the abundance and the grace and the beauty. If you can do that, your cup will in fact runneth over, and you will in fact find abundance and joy and gratitude from something going on in your life. The eye on this card here too suggests that your third eye, your brow chakra, is in a state of knowing, and yet some, maybe, I don't know whether it's a quality of denial, I don't know whether it's a quality of not admitting it to yourself or not saying it out loud. Perhaps there's something or external circumstances that are kind of determining your response and therefore determining an outcome. You know, I'm not quite sure what it is that's needing to be transmuted, but I think this is actually going to be the main focus of the reading. I'm getting a very strong energy from it. So let's go ahead and continue pulling the cards. Okay, so we got 5 of arrows or 5 of swords and the Guardian. Okay. Guardian is like the devil energy, by the way. So frustration. Okay, yeah. So here you are with the Empress. Why frustrated? What is it that's coming out that is causing pushback? I feel like there's this giant target or something very obvious, something very big, and yet all these arrows keep missing the target. So maybe you feel like you keep missing the target, or other people keep missing the target, or people keep misunderstanding you, misinterpreting you. underestimating you, whatever it is. I'm not quite sure, but there seems to be a quality of missing something. And that can be very frustrating. You keep going after the big clients and you keep not getting them. Why? You keep going after that promotion and you keep not getting it. Why? The guardian energy here is very important. First of all, it's telling me that you might not be as fluid as the Empress needs to be. The Empress, she's a feminine creature, right? And I don't care if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. It is the femininity that needs to be prominent at this particular point in your life. And she is curvy, okay? She goes in unpredictable patterns. She is open and receptive. And I feel like in a workplace, that kind of energy, like, it's great and it's good to have, but I suspect that right now you're actually needing to be more masculine, but you need to be feminine. So there's a mismatch going on. You need to be ambitious and direct and set goals and do this and do this and do this and do this. And there's all these kind of expectations for you, but it's not a match for what's happening in your life right now. And therefore you could be feeling like a lot of disharmony going on, and therefore that's affecting your career growth or any decisions that you're needing to make, or even allowing money to come in. And yet the Guardian too is also one of our greatest teachers, right? This is a card that's ruled by the planet Saturn. And the planet Saturn is very much a coach, right? And I don't know why, I was on swim team in high school, so I always remember my high school swim coach. And he was such an ass, right? But it was because of that and how hard he pushed and kind of even how mean he was that I became as good as I became. You know? And I think that's what the Guardian here is really doing. It's pushing you to some limit. It's forcing you to get really, really uncomfortable. And that probably is what the Temperance energy is coming out to indicate, is the transmutation from one into the other, and really seeing the Guardian energy as a big fat favor. Even though it can be very frustrating, as we see the word frustration here at the bottom. Can be very frustrating, can be very harsh realities sometimes. But it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call that you might need to assert yourself. I'm feeling a balance between, actually this is very masculine, I'm feeling feminine, masculine, but this is not like Venus and Mars, it's Venus and Saturn, which this is that authoritative masculine part of you, that boss energy, super in the spotlight, being heard, being respected, being honored, being appreciated, right? So it's a very stark contrast going on. And it is an internal battle here. But with the Guardian is kind of the keeper of the gate, right, into your absolute and overall abundance, as we see with the Ace of Cups. So that can be money, you guys. Right? It can be that huge client that you've been trying to get. It can be that big account. It can be that promotion. Absolutely. But I think you're going to need to assert yourself a little bit more, because while you want to be in this Empress energy and more fluid, the world is teaching you to be in the world. Okay, you are needing to be very, very grounded right now and to be sort of the world. And that's very rare for someone like me to talk about be not so spiritual, okay? But sometimes we get so up in the clouds that we forget, like, oh, I am in this world, and it's all about the Tao. You have to be balanced. So what do we have here? Okay, so we have suffering in silence, and we have spiritual strength. Okay, why are you suffering in silence? Why is this card coming out? Are you not asserting yourself here? Look, Okay, we have the two number 9s, and if I remember correctly, I believe the number 9 is connected with the planet Mars. And Mars is about action. When I'm seeing the word action, even if it's not really associated with the number 9, for whatever reason the Mars energy is coming to my mind. And then I'm seeing silence, and I'm like, okay, well, Mars and silence, I'm feeling like you need to speak up. You need to say something. You need to express yourself. You need to say the hard thing. And it might be really hard, right? Here we have this yogi guy holding up the heavy stone ceiling. Like, you need to hold yourself up. Carry yourself with grace. Some of you, I think, really are facing something really, really hard. But you also know that once you pass that gate or pass that guardian, he's going to let you into the land of the Ace of Cups, the land of abundance. So, and I feel like here we have the colors yellow and here we have the colors green, which has to do with the solar plexus and the heart chakra. So it's like these middle center energies, which people believe that's kind of where the soul sits. So you are having to be fearless right now. You are having to be the sole believer in your value, the sole believer in your purpose, the sole believer in your passion and in your path. And I'm almost kind of getting a little bit of a feeling of recklessness in my mind's eye here, of like, now this Smoky Quartz group of people here, you are going to have to like say screw it. Screw what people think. Screw what my boss thinks. Screw what my people think. Like, I gotta do this. And I don't even care if I get fired. I don't even care if this client... Like, I'm seeing a story of someone who's got some major balls, right? Some major, major courage here. And you can do it. You really, really can do it. Let's see what else comes through here. For the Moonology deck, nothing will come out of this situation. Look, if you are in... So, like... I feel like this current path that you're taking is what this is referring to, because here we have it connected with the card of 5 of Arrows, which tells me that like you keep trying to hit this goat here, you keep trying to shoot the same target and it keeps evading you. Like, just stop trying to hit that particular target. You need to transition your focus to something else. Like, I'm literally telling you to give up on this thing when you're feeling like you just keep beating your head against the wall over and over and over and over. Do something else. It doesn't have to be this way. Okay? And maybe that's part of what this guardian energy is too, right? Like, you have to surrender. When the guardian, and I know that's like kind of somewhat contradictory to what I said, like, why do I need to do something or do I need to surrender? Look, how long have you been under the pressure of your fears? How long have you been under the pressure of other people's expectations or society's expectations or your family's or whatever, right? And so you continue down this path. But here, void of course, like anyone who knows anything about the moon phases, like a void of course moon, it's like a moon that's just floating in space and it's not connected with anything and it's just kind of like going rogue. And when there's no purpose and no drive, like in a way you are going rogue in your own structure. Okay? And like I said, it's a balance between the Saturn and the Venus here coming out big time. So you can't just completely go all feminine. You can't completely go all Saturnian. You have to be a mixture of both because they give each other purpose and they give each other balance. Everything is something because of its relation to something else. So these are so inextricably linked here. But when you are going so fluid and so feminine only, right, that's maybe when the frustration comes in. So you have to change behavioral patterns, and you can't suffer in silence. Nothing's going to come of that situation either. Okay? Nothing is going to come of you saying nothing and you doing nothing. Okay? What's this one? From the Untethered Soul deck. Realize that the outside world and the flow of inner emotions come and go. But you, the one who experiences these things, remain consciously aware of whatever passes before you. So there's a big difference between experiencing something and feeling like you are those things, right? When the outside world ceases to have power over you, and even when your emotions cease to have power over you, that is when you are set free, and that is when you become absolutely courageous, which with the spiritual strength card, yeah, like some of you are going to be doing some big things, or you're facing something really big because you just, like I said, like you can't sustain, you can't be held under the weight of this much longer. You have to liberate yourself. So focusing on your third and fourth chakras, I highly suspect would be beneficial for you. Send a blessing to them, like pause this video right now and just send a blessing to those energy centers right now and allow energy to start flowing through them, okay? It will help with your feeling of empowerment and your feeling of love. Ooh, sixth chakra. Archangel Metatron. Wow, well, that's a beautiful card to get. Let's talk for the sixth chakra. That's your voice box. No. Wait. I'm sorry, that's your third eye. I don't know why. I was like here. For some reason, I was looking at the blue and I was seeing like your voice box. But no, it's your third eye. Yeah, which goes perfectly hand in hand with the spiritual strength card. So when you're not operating from the inner knowing, when you're not operating from that kind of force that's forcing you in the right direction and you're kind of rebelling against that and you're sitting in a state of just kind of like feeling a victim of whatever comes your way or whatever, a lot of chakras can get imbalanced. And I have a feeling this is one of them, the sixth. So it's like the third, the fourth, and the sixth. Okay? There's a creationist aspect with the Metatron Archangel too. The sort of fundamental of the creation of the fundamentals of the creation of the universe. And with the Empress energy being so creative, right? She's the pregnant woman, she creates life. You might be facing a pretty major undertaking in terms of creation. So creating that business, find first and foremost, right? Creating that new product, creating that new initiative, going after a client you never thought you would ever go after and yet actually becoming successful with it. So there's big leaps and bounds in front of you. But again, it's the gate to the Ace of Cups. This is what all these cards over here are really connecting, is down to the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups is absolutely within your control as long as you follow your inner voice. If you're feeling beat up, pushed around, whatever, feeling like you didn't set proper boundaries with people, or things are just kind of continually going wrong and you just keep tripping up over and over and over, it's time to go about doing it in a completely different way. Okay? You are not the experiences that you have here. You are merely the one experiencing them. There's no need to feel victimized by anything because all the power is yours. Okay? Alrighty, that was a big reading for you for pile number 4, but I wish you guys nothing but the best. Just have faith in yourself. Alright? Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.